Good morning, fans of football, specifically Thomas More football. We are excited. We have the head coach today, Chris Norwell. Chris is an NFL alumni. He has been with Thomas More 16 years, and three of them as our head coach. We are so excited to have him. We're going to be discussing his transition from defensive coordinator to head coach. We're going to be discussing their transition from D3 to NAIA to D2 and the future, of course, of Thomas More football. Chris, thank you for joining us today.
James, I appreciate you covering the Thomas More Saints, and thanks again for having me out. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure. What did you learn from your time at the University of Illinois?
To really be honest, I spent my time 2003 to 2007 up there at the University of Illinois, and when I came in as a freshman, the university was actually coming off just 2 years ago winning the Big Ten title. So going in there with expectations of winning, and then all of a sudden we weren't very good. Those early days, my redshirt freshman year, all the way up to my redshirt junior year. The most games that we won in a season was three.
Ooh,
And that's something you learn some toughness right there, some grit to persevere, stay in the course, which was huge because those were some dark days. University of Illinois, two different coaches. Me personally, I kind of have a unique story. When I started my time there, I was recruited as a tight end. They found out right away that I couldn't catch. All right, so I got moved down to left tackle. I was left tackle my redshirt year, and then after the season, they needed help on the defensive line, and that's when the coaches came up, had a conversation, asked if I wanted to move. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I get to attack the quarterback a little bit, but with that, early on transition, and then the outcomes. Definitely learn just stay in the course. Be about the team, and if you have a process, eventually it's going to pay off because senior year we did turn around, ended up going 9-3, had a great year for the University of Illinois, had the opportunity to represent Illinois in the Rose Bowl back in 2008, where we played USC, which was awesome. And especially, that senior year was very memorable for myself being a Cincinnati, Ohio guy. We ended up beating the number one ranked Ohio State Buckeyes my senior year in the horseshoe. So, that's something that to this day, people always still bring up that game, which is awesome, which is awesome. But definitely during my time at University of Illinois, I learned, just stay in the course, that having some toughness and grit to you. Eventually good stuff's going to happen when you have a plan.
that is awesome. All important things when it comes to coaching and life. I mean, that is the great thing about football. You learn a lot about life.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm a big believer in the game of football and how it changes young men to get them ready for whatever they want to do after graduation, their family life. Just because the student athlete, a football student athlete, is thrown in the fire right away, especially as a freshman. All right, they're in college athletics away from home. They got to get used to college academics, which is a huge thing here at Thomas More. So it takes some toughness, both physical and mental toughness. And these guys, when they play their last game here, they're going to be ready to conquer the next 4 years, whatever they get into.
So, how great is it to be coaching near your hometown of
Oh, I
Cincinnati?
love it. I love it. That's why I've been here for 16 years. All right. So, the great thing about Thomas More has always been the people. When I started here as an intern, a young coach, making $5,000, all right, for the year, coaching D line back in 2009. We went 10-0 that first year playing Division III football. I was with a great coaching staff. A lot of those guys are still coaching now. Had some really good players. The guys that we get here at Thomas More, they're blue collar tough. They love to compete. They love to win games. They love the process of being a football player, and that's kind of what I'm all about. And at the very same sense, where our roster, a good 60-70% of our guys are within that hour and a half radius of Cincinnati. So we got a lot of homegrown talent in here in North Kentucky, Cincinnati, and that was me 20 plus years ago. So it means a lot to me to represent this area, represent the school, and and do it with our homegrown guys. That's huge. We're in a hotbed of talent here. Um, and you just got to get these guys to believe in what you're doing here, especially for us moving forward on that Division II scale in that map is definitely a unique opportunity moving forward.
And then tell us about your experiences in the NFL.
It was short. All right, it's a blink of an eye now. Okay, so I got done playing back in 2008. So we played in that 2008 Rose Bowl, and I was fortunate enough to be picked up as an undrafted free agent with the New England Patriots. So I was able to do OTAs, and back then, that's when the Patriots, they were on their roll, winning Super Bowls, all that good stuff. You had Tom Brady. Obviously, Bill Belichick was the head coach. You're talking about some legends of the game, and you kind of get to just learn how they do things. Because I was only there maybe 5-6 months, I ended up getting cut before the first preseason game. But then I was fortunate to have the Minnesota Vikings give me a call, and I ended up finishing up my 4 preseason games with the Minnesota Vikings. But last cut, had to turn in my playbook, and it got shipped back home to Cincinnati, and that's when I made the decision that I'm going to give coaching a try back in 2009, and that's how I got kind of got my coaching career moving forward, because that was such a impactful year for me, and how much fun I had, and I still carry that enthusiasm to this day, being year 16 in there. It's not an opportunity where I have to get up to where I get to go into Thomas More. I get to interact with our students, the other members, of faculty, staff here at Thomas More. And so that's something, I take great pride in, having that enthusiasm, that energy of what I do every day, which is huge.
So, what has it been like over the last 16 years becoming an integral part of the Crestview Hills community, leading you to become the head coach of Thomas More football?
I really haven't thought too much about it, because you're just kind of doing your day to day, just trying to make an impact on whatever role that you have. I think when I was a young guy, I realized that, whatever role I had, if it was just a D-line coach, I was going to be the best defensive line coach. I had the opportunity to help start up the track program here back in 2010. So I was a throws coach for 4 years as well. So I've done a little bit of everything during my time here at Thomas More, which makes it unique. And that's why I love small college football, small college athletics. You're just around your people every day. And, that definitely fits who I am. I'm from a large family. I'm one of 7 kids from my mom and dad. So I love the environment, the family environment that college athletics has, and especially how we do things here at Thomas More.
That's awesome. So, shot put and discus.
We had some good ones back in the day too. All right, all coaching. I'm just kidding there, but yeah, it helped the coach at the time, Jeff Hill, start up this program. At that time, he was the head track and field coach.
In 2022, I understand that because you were in NIA at the time, you were able to play against a Division I football team. Tell us a little bit about that and what you learned from that experience.
Yeah, that's something where when I took over as the head coach, we only had 10 games on our schedule. And with NAIA and Division II, you're allowed to play a max of 11 games in season. So I wanted to max out our games, our opportunities that we can get better as a team. And we kind of had this opportunity with Duquesne that came late. And they are a FCS Division I team located out of Pittsburgh, where I thought that would be a great opportunity for our guys to kind of go compete against that Division I caliber athletic program. How they do things there, because they do a phenomenal job within their conference. They're always in there with that conference race to win it. So we learned a bunch about just the importance of doing stuff the right way. They were a clean, crisp team. Especially kind of going into that world about Division I. That's when we realized that they had an instant replay. That I think that was my first game dealing with instant replay, and they had about like 7 cameras on the field. It was a little bit different than NAIA. All right, Division II. Just talk about the resources that they had there, But that staff does a tremendous job up there, and our guys were fired up to go to Pittsburgh and play at a really cool setting because their field is right downtown. You see the skyline; it overlooks the river, downtown Pittsburgh, which was a very unique thing. And those seniors that played that year, they probably will remember that game for a while there. So that was awesome.
So there were a lot of changes, it feels like, over the last couple of years, going from Division three to NAIA to Division two. What is the biggest difference in those jumps?
Obviously, you're always going to, say talent, size, the speed of the game. But number one, moving from Division three to NAIA's scholarship level football, I thought the parity of each team was so much closer throughout, the top of the league to the bottom of the league. It really comes down to any given Saturday. You got to get your team ready, all right, to go on that day. The small details matter tremendously. And with this jump up from NAIA to D2, it's still another jump up there where the parity now is even closer. And that's the great thing about our conference, the Great Midwest Athletic Conference, is that we have some very competitive teams that are fighting for that top spot, guys that run the programs the right way, that are tough, hard-nosed teams. And, that's one thing with transitioning with football. Every team has a personality. All right, coordinators have what they like to call, what style of play. And I think, going through that first year and kind of understanding, where everyone else is at, this is going to set us up for a good year too, where we have a little bit more familiar feeling with each conference opponent and kind of know what we're going to get into beforehand. Because that first year, you absolutely have no clue of what's going to happen. And, I thought our guys last year did a really good job staying together and kept on getting better throughout the year. And, when you're a football coach or any coach at all, you want your team to continue to get better throughout the year, regardless of your wins and your losses. If you can handle doing that, you're going to have a successful year. You're building something the right way.
And another part about building the right way, of course, is your great support you receive from your coaching staff. Tell us about that and how that plays such an integral part in your success.
It's huge. Football is the greatest team game ever invented, in my opinion. All right. You need so many people, talking about your coaches, support staff, so many players, and everyone has their role. And that's the beauty here is that I've been fortunate enough to keep a lot of the guys that I've had on staff for a while. Our defensive coordinator's been with me since 2014. So when I made that transition to the head football coach, that was an easy call to get him to move up and take over the defense and kind of run his own thing. And he's done a phenomenal job in that sense. And on the offensive side of the ball, I was very fortunate to hire a guy that was previous head coach at Wilmington College. So he sat in the head coach's chair and, has a wealth of knowledge and he's ultra organized and Brian Moore. And also our head strength coach has been here for a while as well. So, that's the biggest thing, just keeping your staff together. And when you do lose guys to other opportunities, like last year, we lost our offensive line coach to a Division I team up in Northeast Massachusetts area up there, being able to hire great people to come in, all right, to really buy into what we're doing as a program, as a team, buy into our vision, and just keep on making that next step because it's all about the people. It's about the people that you bring into your program, your coaches, your support staff, all that good stuff. We want good people here because at the end of the day, you win with character, all right. And I think that we're definitely in the right direction there with our additions.
You were talking about the competitiveness of the
Mm-hmm.
different levels, especially
Yep.
Division two. Is that the kind of the same case with the Great Midwest Athletic Conference? Is probably that the best and the worst thing about it is just how competitive and how intense that competition is.
Oh, no doubt. I think you hit it right there. Like it's ultra competitive week in, week out. There's a bunch of teams that are vying for that top spot. That's a good thing. That's a bad thing as well. But we're still trying to learn, what this conference is all about. I think this is a great fit for Thomas More, our location, where we recruit. I think it really is a positive thing for the university, and to also be with those schools, those like-minded institutions. I know that was huge from an admin point of view here at Thomas More.
Exactly. Like you were saying shoot earlier about being able to recruit within probably about an hour and a half, 2 hour radius. So basically, from here all the way up to Indianapolis, to Columbus, down to Louisville, Lexington, you have a wide variety of players that are so close and so talented. I mean, you might have those other schools taking the top of the top, but there's so much depth in this talent area that you can go after.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. There's the Midwest up here, Kentucky, Ohio, India. There's some really good football being played. Some really good high school coaches. Guys are coming out of high school programs, and they're being taught and better than ever, in my opinion. And that's something where we really like to get those guys from really good programs because they have all the intangibles. They already know what it takes to win. Because if it was easy, everyone would be winning games, and it's not. And that's something our location plays a huge factor, and that kind of ties in once we get our recruits on campus. They see what we're doing here. Because when I started here in 2009, Thomas More was probably about 900 students. We're up to close to about 1,500 traditional undergrad. Talk about expanding campus and everything that has moved
Oh,
here.
wow.
It's been huge. This place is a totally different place than back in 2009, and you share that vision with recruits. They get excited about the growth of the college, the university, because you can not just only get a great football experience here, but you can also get a degree that's going to go off and you're going to be able to earn with that degree, which is part of it. It's going to be a twofold experience here, if that kind of makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say some schools you go to and you get the experience of football or just the experience of football. But yeah, with you all at Thomas More, you get that great football experience, but you also get that great education.
Oh
So
yeah, it's
yeah,
huge.
it's a world difference.
Hmm.
Let's see. Last season, you started out hot, winning 3 out of 4, winning. Um, what do you equate the early success to?
No, part of that is just being healthy. Our guys, they show up and usually our players are ready to play. They have a sense of enthusiasm to them about the game, but being healthy and just being ready to compete. That was just the biggest thing with Division II moving forward, jumping divisions. You got to be able to get your team ready to go for Saturday, and that's the biggest thing. Those small details matter tremendously, and we're still learning as a staff and as players to make sure that we can master this. I don't think you ever really truly master it, but hey, we're in that pursuit daily to do the right things. All right, especially when things get tough.
Later in the season, you beat Kentucky Wesleyan, which was
Mhm.
awesome. However, it's not just about the wins, it's about what you learn in the losses. What are some of the things you learned last year from losing games?
The biggest thing really is just having that mentality of finishing out games. I don't think our players or our coaches ever felt like we were completely out of the game. They kept on fighting, and you want to see that with your team. Regardless of the score, if it's a positive or a negative, just keep on fighting, keep on getting better, and going talking about the details of the game. You've learned so much from those losses about the stat column, the turnover margin. Like I'm still that turnover margin is such a huge stat. It's a simple stat to look at, but that's huge. Those little things that you can point out that add up to those bigger wins and losses. That's the biggest thing that we really focus on right there. But overall, the guys last year did a tremendous job of staying together. We have to match that this year and just play better team football where we're going to complement each other offensively to defense and the kicking game. That's one thing we struggled middle part of the year to play that type of football, and that's something that we're really focused on doing a better job of this year coming up.
Yeah, last year you had a dominant victory at the end of the season. How does it feel to leave on such a high note?
It's always so much better to end the year with a win. There's no doubt. All right, but at the same time, we kind of knew what was in front of us there, and we just had to go out there and take care of business and and get this thing going in a positive manner for the off season. That's huge right there. But at the same time, after that game, we're thinking about starting up weights here in January. The cycle begins all over again, but it's always good to end and send your seniors, your guys that left their blood, sweat, and tears in the program off with a win. That's huge, especially at home. They're going to remember that for the rest of their life.
5 CSC academic all district selections. Obviously, Thomas More is known for their premier education. How great does that feel?
Oh, it's great. Like that's something that we sell in our recruiting process, and you look at that list, and we got guys that are going to move on and go to medical school. Off that list, and we were fortunate enough to bring back a former football player that graduated back in 2010. That's actually a doctor now. Like
Oh, my.
our guys go off and do some really great things, and they love the opportunity, our alums, to come back and talk to the program because I think that's huge as a coach to bring some of your alum back because they sat in those very chairs as those players. All right, and whatever they have message wise, it might relate just to one of our players now. That's enough, to get these guys thinking about the bigger picture, the next 40 years. And I'm a big time believer that if you take care of it academically, stuff on the field is going to happen so much faster for you as well. It's just you want that balance in your life in all three phases. And, if you can do that as a student, the football stuff's going to take care of stuff. Socially, you're going to be making some great decisions and having success in your social life as well.
So basically, as long as you're well rounded. So.
It's a good liberal arts education. All right. All right.
So all four of your conference performers are returning. And then, of course, you've got a fifth star with the co-freshman of the year. How does
Yep.
that feel to have that type of talent coming back, plus a bunch more players that didn't get the recognition they deserve?
Yeah, we feel like we have some really talented football players here, guys that are willing to fight and just really compete hard. We have almost pretty much everyone coming back offensively, which is great. So we're talking about some of our best players being in that junior, a couple seniors, in that junior senior class. We also have some very talented young guys that are sprinkled in throughout. So that's awesome to return that offensively. Defensively, we're going to have some shoes to fill for sure. We lose our first team all conference Mike linebacker Del Thomas, which was he was a hell of a player, 5-year player for us. But defensively, we have some guys that we're not going to be young, we're going to be inexperienced. So we got some guys that have been kind of plugging away, waiting for our opportunity, and we got to see who's going to step up and take on that larger role defensively for sure. But I think we have a talented group, and we got to really make sure that we keep on putting these guys in situations where we're going to see those guys step up and rise to the challenge to see who really wants to take over and take some jobs.
So coming off the training camp, I can imagine they're counting down the days to September 7th.
Oh yeah, you know it. Yeah, at this point in camp, they're sick of hitting each other, going to the seed. But that's just part of it, though. Training camp, it's a grind. It's a lot of football. We started up classes last week, so we've been kind of in that blend of switching from camp mode and then going to class, homework, taking care of all this other stuff, all these other distractions. But overall, camp was good. We see guys straining, fighting, picking up, and being eager to do the right thing. We still got a long way to go, but we're looking forward to our first game and starting some game prep moving forward within the next week or so.
It might have been a little bit of a distraction, but I can imagine it was a fun one. The 2024 Community Trust Bank Kentucky Collegiate All Conference team. or all Commonwealth team.
Mhm.
How much fun was that? Did you get to go down and watch your players get inducted?
Yeah, I think that's a great thing that Frank Minifield does with the Kentucky Hall of Fame. Very unique. That's a great opportunity to just showcase football. Especially for all the institutions that play college football here in the state of Kentucky, to get them under one house at the state capitol. I did actually go down there this summer and saw a few of our guys, stand up and receive their certificate and get honored in that sense. And it's really cool that, 4 of those 5 guys that we had on that list were from the state of Kentucky as well, which is awesome. But, that's hats off to Frankie Minifield and his crew for doing a great event there and really, supporting and getting football out there for the state.
Well, Coach, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your time. We're excited about the upcoming season. Before we let you go, we're on social media, we're on the web. Where can we find out more about you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Coach Norwell or X. I still call it Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook. Our Facebook is the TMU Winter Circle. That posts a whole bunch of stuff about our football program. You can also find that on Twitter X at TMU Football, Instagram. So we're all over social media. Love to come out, and especially, if you have the opportunity, James, come up for a home game, and it's a great atmosphere. People come out, they tailgate, it overlooks our field. It's going to be a packed house, and we have 7 home games out of 11 this year. So hopefully you can come by and check us out.
Sounds great. I look forward to it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, take care.